All right, let's get into RFK Jr. We got a couple things going on. You mentioned the Zionist tweet he put out, but this let's start with the article because he went and he retweeted the article that he put out as Health and Human Services Secretary. He decided to use his platform to tweet about anti-Semitism. That's weird because I remember people saying, "Don't worry about RFK Jr.'s Zionist tendencies. It's not going to matter when he's in the Health and Human Services Department.
I
His
was one of
only
those
focus
people.
his only focus is going to be taking on big food and taking on big pharma. That's going to
Mhm.
be it. You're not going to hear any more garbage like he did on Crystal Ball show where he said Palestinians are the most pampered people on the planet. We'll never have to hear that garbage
That was the
ever
moment
again.
his campaign tanked. But yeah.
That was it.
Mhm.
And we still said, okay, you've reinvented yourself as a guy who's not going to be talking about Israel. You're a guy who's going to be talking about health. Really, as the Health and Human Services Secretary, you thought this was a good article to put up. HHS, ED, and GSA announced additional measures to end anti-Semitic harassment on college campuses. Measures will include a comprehensive review of federal contracts and grants given institutions of higher education that are being investigated for uh, uh, okay, I'm losing the wording here because it's too
For
long.
dereliction of duties to curb or combat anti-Semitism, violence, and harassment.
And
That's
then
what
he
they said.
goes into this. Yeah, they goes into today the Department of Health and Human Services. All these organizations they announce a comprehensive review of Columbia University's federal contracts and grants in light of ongoing investigations for potential violations of Civil Rights Act. So they're saying we're going to punish these campuses as we're investigating anti-Semitism, and we're going to take away your grants as a punishment for having these investigations. So you're not even talking about official crimes committee. You're talking about investigations that are ongoing, and you're going to punish the campuses during those investigations. By the way, who's conducting these investigations? That's a whole nother issue.
Yep.
Sounds to me like another police investigating themselves situation, which we've seen
Hmm.
plenty of.
Hmm.
And then it goes on until the amount of money could be up to $5 billion that might be in jeopardy here. This is RFK Jr. putting this out. I want to be absolutely clear. This isn't him having a stupid comment about it. He's putting this out. And then this is, and I want to be clear about this. This is on his Twitter right now as Secretary Kennedy. This paragraph is the next paragraph in that article that he wrote. So this is his firsthand account. This is not just him commenting on it. He's putting the language out. He's coming up with this as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Anti-Semitism, like racism, is a spiritual and moral malady that sickens societies and kills people with lethalities comparable to history's most deadly plagues. In recent years, the censorship and false narratives of woke cancel culture have transformed our great universities into greenhouses for this deadly and virulent pestilence. Making America healthy means building communities of trust and mutual respect based on speech, freedom, and open debate. This is more than troubling, Jay. What are your thoughts?
It's so disappointing to see him going down this route. And, I guess just to give it a little bit of context, there are a lot of connections between Zionism and the assassination of JFK, and the assassination of RFK too. So part of me, wonders like, okay, well, is he doing this because he's scared that they're going to do the same thing to him if he doesn't play ball? And, am I going to say that it's not dangerous to like be just do the right thing? No, like doing the right thing is dangerous, but this is what you said, you are about your whole political career. Since you got into politics, you've said that you are going to speak the truth, you want to speak the truth, and you want to do what's right. And at the end of the day, if we're looking at a situation where you're going to shut down protests or you're going to punish universities for allowing students to at least express their opinion, like I think we're wading into very dangerous territory right now, because every positive movement that's gained steam in America, a lot of it, not everyone, but most of them do seem to, spring up from college campuses. Like, the youth have play a huge role, in these populist movements that happen. So, it's extremely, disheartening to me as someone who supported him. And even if you truly believe that the protesters are wrong, you can't take a few bad people in the protest, because I understand there may have been, like one or two attacks, right? Like on people on campus. You can't take the extremist elements of that, who easily could have been agitators that were sent there to
Yeah.
derail the whole protest. You can't take those people and then say that everyone involved in the protest has the same views and opinions as these people, because even if you go back to something like, the George Floyd protest and BLM, right? I'm sure you would find a couple people in those protests who said, "Oh, all white people are evil and all white people, are bad and all that." But the majority of people in those protests were simply asking for better policing. They thought that Black people received disproportionately bad policing, and so all they wanted was better policing. But if you interviewed everyone there, I'm sure there may have been one or two people like in the protests in the country who believe some crazy stuff like that. But you can't project that onto the entire crowd. And, you know, there was plenty of evidence of agitators being sent in on January 6th. There was plenty of evidence of agitators being sent in even during the George Floyd protests. Like a lot of those looting incidences and fires, like they were started by people who kind of looked and smelled like federal agents. So I'm not saying there wasn't any bad stuff that happened there, but a lot of it could have been sparked by them too. So we have to take, a look at the situation and realize, okay, the vast majority of people engaged in these protests say that they have a problem with Israel's government, and they describe themselves as anti-Zionist, which is being against a political ideology. And a lot of them don't even take it that far. All they're saying is stop sending weapons to Israel, like until this genocide ends, and make peace. I consider myself to be an anti-Zionist, but not all of them, like took it that far. So you can't like you can't punish an entire university for the actions of a few people inside protests that have popular support, not just within the university, but I would argue over a lot of the country. Because I think, from some of the latest polls I saw, most Americans were in favor of at least like stopping the arms like that were given to Israel at this point. So it's really disappointing, in many ways. And um, after seeing him, at least start to uncover some of the stones, like of the what was hidden in both assassinations of his father and his uncle, I'm glad that he's opening up the conversation. But I think it's our job, because clearly he's not going to do it. Like clearly he's not going to uncover every stone, because it seems like the goal is to blame it all on the CIA. And no doubt the CIA were involved, but if you have Jacob Rubenstein, more known as Jack Ruby, the person who went and killed Lee Harvey Oswald, if his lawyer said that Harvey Weinstein told him that he was doing it for the Jewish people, like a Jewish lawyer came out and said that this Jewish gangster told me that he killed Lee Harvey Oswald for the Jewish people, I think we need to ask some more questions about that. Like, I think we need to dig a little bit deeper. Like, how did this happen? Like, if we have all these actions that were against Israel as JFK was in office that got immediately reversed as soon as he was no longer in office, I think we need to ask more questions. So I don't blame it all on Zionists, because I see Zionists as like a tool of the people who are running the world to, accomplish their goals. But they're a major tool. Like they do play a big part in that whole machine. So I do think we need to ask questions about how this tool is being weaponized against us. So I really think, we need, if we're going to uncover the JFK files, we need to ask, are they leaving out the parts linking in Mossad and Zionism when they do come out? Because I'm assuming we're going to get some more that come out. That's the first question that I'm going to be asking personally. Is there something that is missing here? And what is still missing?
Jay, I don't think we're even going to get up to the ladder of the CIA. I think the only thing we're going to get is, and we actually had Michael Franzese on, one of the last living real life Goodfellas gangsters that was in the a crime family syndicate in the 80s, and he goes way back when he was younger in the 60s. Now, when you ask him who gave that order, he goes, I don't know. That doesn't matter. But he's like, I just need to know when the files come out, that they better say that Jack Ruby was connected to the mob. Now, he didn't want to talk about the Zionism stuff. I asked him. He didn't want to talk about the Zionism stuff. But that conversation to me, and I want people to understand this at home, it kind of opened up a new approach for myself and people that are looking at JFK and the assassination and all the, who killed who and what was the chain of events and who gave the orders. It made me realize that we've been kind of conned all these years, that there was some sort of like, it has to be one, the other, or the other. It has to be this. It has to be either the Chicago mob, or it has to be the CIA, or it has to be related to Cuba, or it has to be. And then the Mossad comes up and we go, oh, which one is it? Which one is it? No,
all of the
it's
above.
All of them, because there's a pecking order of orders that you're given. And then when you talk to a guy like this that doesn't really know he doesn't know who gave the order from the order. He knows this is the phone call that was made, and you don't ask questions. You do the hit. So the point is, you can tell the story from any point you want to and be accurate about the story, and then deliberately leave out information that's going to end the story where you want it to end without actually lying. But the lie comes from purposely withholding, well, where did that phone call come from? Where did that phone call? Who gave that phone call to give that phone call? So it's all true. I just say that this is the conclusion I draw. Whatever they want to release is going to be how far up that they want to go. And I don't suspect it's going to be any more than maybe who gave the final phone call. And that's going to be it. And then we're going to be done. And there won't be any more after that.
Yep, exactly. In fact, I'm sorry. Do you remember the name of the guy who was running the CIA, who was also James Angleton? That's it. I believe that's his name. So James Angleton was actually the Mossad contact.
Yes. Yes.
Like in the CIA. So he was the bridge between Israel and the CIA, and he's the one who everyone points to as the most likely mastermind, of the CIA's coordination and involvement, like in that whole situation. And Israel gave him a Medal of Honor when he died. Like he has his own statue over there in Israel right now, just like Trump. Trump has streets named after him over there. He has, a lot of people over there who were excited that he won. So I really think, we have to keep our eyes on Donald Trump's, ties to that picture in particular. And, I know you've mentioned this book plenty of times, but for anyone who's watching right now, One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb. It ties this whole thing together. It's one of the best cited books I've ever read in my life, and you guys should go check it out.